All right, I reached my size limit for the other one, so uh, yeah, keep going. Actually, I have the computer right here. Maybe I should have shot this on the computer and gone to an internet cafe, but I'll see what I can do. Maybe I can put them together. Maybe I'll just do two parts. But yeah, talking about that Kickboxer 3, I was gonna do a movie review on it. I watched it again, and uh, that's one of the main things. Like the bad guys abduct him and try to like work him out really hard and overtrain him before the fight, and then he has to recover really hard, drink a magic potion thing, secret potion, whatever, to recover. And so it's one of those things about extreme training and recovery. Um, so just thinking about starting a new video, so it's like I lost the flow to it and everything. Even though I started right away, it's just different being on another video. Um, so yeah, so of course it's in the title, but I was going over this book right here. See if I can hold it up long enough for the thumbnail. Um, and oh yeah, so it's Kickboxer 3. So 1 and 2 is really good. 4 is kind of okay. 3, I guess it's interesting. In a lot of these kung fu and martial arts movies, there's like things to be learned and lessons and stuff like that from them. Um, but I guess I'm getting off on a tangent. But I've got 30 minutes potentially. Probably I won't go like 30 minutes, but anyway, that movie. I watched it again recently because I was thinking about doing a review on it. I might still do one, but it was like it's like an R-rated movie and stuff like that, but it's like really I guess you would say like childish in a lot of ways, and corny and stupid in a lot of ways, and bad acting and stuff like that. 1 and 2 is really good, but 3 is, I guess, is kind of like that, and I guess it's kind of like that uh, with like conspiracies theories and stuff like that, where there's like a lot of truth in there, but they have something to make it less. Um, what's that word I'm looking for? Um, starts with this. Um, curatable, where you curate, where you share information. Um, like that. So I saw like a David Icke documentary not too long ago, and Alex Jones was talking about him. Alex Jones is like such a dirtbag and stuff like that. But he was um, he was talking about David Icke, how he says like all these interesting things, but then it's like somebody just throws a turd in the punch bowl um, when he starts talking about the reptiles and the lizards and stuff like that, to just like totally negate what he was saying and everything like that. And uh, sorry, lost my track. Um, oh yeah, so David Icke he also talks about that, whereas like everyone knows that, mate. That's one of his sayings. And oh, you believe this? Like, yeah, you must believe the Earth is flat and stuff too. Um, so it's just one of those things to make things non-curatable and stuff like that. I just think about that with Kickboxer 3, how there's like a lot of interesting things to it, but also there's just some stuff in there that just makes it non. It's just like kind of like corny and stupid, makes it not as curatable. Even though it's an R-rated movie, it was just kind of so it's like when you're like young and stuff like that, like early teens or whatever, or even lower. Um, you don't notice it, like you like those kind of things, like with the cartoons and stuff like that, and it's okay. But then, like I went back and looked at it again, like whoa, Not very good. So like part four is like very serious, I guess, to kind of like counterbalance part three. And so I guess while I'm talking about that, also, yeah, I have it written down, Bruce Lee death conspiracy. And with this book and stuff like that, and what they talk about with the overtraining, and say, Bruce Lee might have worked himself to death and stuff like that. And there's all kinds of theories about how he died, and maybe he was killed, maybe this happened, maybe that happened. I heard this, heard that. But I guess you don't hear too much about fake death theory. Maybe it was a fake death. Him and Brandon Lee as well. Well, just one of those things. So I guess Brandon would still be pretty young, and he died at 27, which is one of those weird conspiracy numbers. 27 deaths. People who died at 27. I think it's like Jimi Hendrix, Amy Winehouse. I think the guy from The Doors, Brandon Lee, maybe Janis Joplin, and there's like more people as well. Like one of those weird numbers. So one of those things. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, so like there's a traditional and modern aspect to it. So Bruce Lee had a traditional Wing Chun background, but it was just a very kind of low level, like medium level to that. Been talking. Yeah, it was kind of low level, and then he just added on to that with uh, modern techniques like modern weightlifting and nutrition, or modern sports like boxing and fencing. Although fencing can be kind of old, I guess it's still modern. But I guess more particularly Western sports, because he moved to the United States. Um, I think it was like, yeah, he was born in the U.S. and then moved to China, moved back to Hong Kong. I think Hong Kong. I know he was in Hong Kong for a while, till he was like 18, and then came back to the U.S. So he's like a blend of Eastern and Western cultures. So like blending Eastern, uh, Eastern martial arts with Western sports was one of his big influences and contributions. But at the same time, it's still kind of, I guess you would say, low level in the traditional. His traditional background is pretty low level, but I think that was they said that was like part of his strategy was just like blast him really hard with the basic techniques, to where you don't move on to more advanced techniques, because your basics are just so dominating that you don't need to move on to more complex moves or whatever. Um, and That was also the big thing I was talking about earlier with the challenge match, and hurting his back. Um, so yeah, there was a challenge match, and the big thing is they were like Chinese kung fu guys, and they didn't want him teaching Chinese kung fu to Westerners, because they just wanted it secret. They wanted to keep it among themselves, among the Easterners. So uh, martial arts, traditional martial arts, Asian martial arts, historically have spread out throughout Asia to be like pretty popular and stuff like that. But there's also different levels to it. So along with that, traditional and modern, and teaching outsiders and teaching mass, teaching, like spreading it mass, like a mass art, commercialization and stuff like that. Um, so there's like deeper levels to it. So they didn't want it in the West at all. Like some Chinese people, like not at all. Um, so it's different from like, I guess, both in the East and the West, to where it's like popular en masse, but then there's so many different levels to it, and building upon that, to where I guess like the really good stuff, you have to get more like direct hand, and it's more like not mainstream to get to like the deeper skills and knowledge and stuff like that, and tricks of the trade and stuff like that. But it's still like built on the foundation. It's like foundation exercises of the movements and stuff like that. Kind of like with weightlifting, how there's like advanced principles and stuff like that built up on it. And then there's also philosophies and stuff like that too. But some people, they work out and they think like it doesn't work. Like you lift weights, yeah, like you lift weights and it doesn't work. It doesn't do anything. You have to be on steroids or something like that. But it's just like more time and effort and thought and all that into it to make it work. And then there's also genetic components as well. But and I talked about that earlier. Drive and discipline and stuff like that as also potentially being genetic, but something you still work on as well to build yourself. So there's that, and then also I was talking about that with the different levels to it and stuff like that. And Bruce Lee having more of a beginner, not beginner, but like beginner advanced level, beginner for advanced. It talked about it in this book I read a good while ago as well. Pretty interesting book. They talk about how in Kung Fu, when they're about like 18, they let them go for like a year or two and kind of find themselves and decide if they want to come back and train again or if they want to move on and do other things. So I guess it was like some kind of thing with Bruce Lee where he moved on. Yeah, she's a trainer, Yip Man. I saw a picture the other day. You can see all kinds of pictures on the internet, although it's hard to believe what you see on the internet sometimes. So that's who we learned his Kung Fu from, and had a good relationship and everything. And Bruce Lee was actually a quarter Caucasian. He was like 3/4 Asian and 1/4 European. So so when he was doing the Kung Fu, a lot of people didn't want to teach him, and his teacher taught him in secret. So that may be why he didn't get as far. And then I guess also he moved to America as well, why he didn't pursue the traditional much further, but he still talked to other traditional martial artists and stuff like that and picked up little tidbits to advance his knowledge and everything, but also combined modern Western sports with it. I guess there's just thinking so much I can go along with that. And I was thinking, not believing what you see on the internet and stuff like that, photoshops, pictures on Instagram and stuff like that, and things like that. Oh, I saw a pretty funny picture. Like Bruce Lee's kind of a skinny guy, so they had like a picture of him with Michael Jackson, and it was just kind of a funny looking picture. An adult Michael Jackson, and Bruce Lee had already died before them. So yeah, just a thought. And so I think I have everything. The circuit training I'll talk about. I have a whole video about that where I'm doing the Bruce Lee inspired circuit training. It goes over the circuit training in here. It's a good way to combine strength, endurance, and flexibility all in one. And then the running regulates developing over excessive body mass to where you can still execute the techniques pretty well. And then also it has the nutrition in here, which is also a pretty complex, very complex subject, very interesting, very fascinating subject. And in this book, it talks basically about your body being like a performance car, and you got to put the right fuel in it. And it talks about various supplements and stuff he looked into, and using juicers and blenders and stuff like that. Whole eggs in the blender and with the shell, and just like having an interest in nutrition, and his wife doing the cooking for him and stuff like that, and how he preferred vegetables, Asian meals a lot of times because there's more vegetables in comparison to meat. Western's more like a whole lot of meat and not very many vegetables. Um, so that's one of those things about bodybuilding that's pretty interesting, is learning nutrition, especially when they had the magazines out. I guess they're not as popular now. They'd have like nutrition sections, and they talk about various um, foods and stuff like that. And it was interesting. They're mostly talking about it related to mass, but they'd also explain it in relation to other things as well. So it's a fascinating subject. What foods do what? How fast does it digest? How does it complement other foods? What does it do in the body? Um, so I guess I'm kind of a wizard about nutrition. Studied it quite a bit. It's quite a fascinating subject. Um, I think that's about covers it. Yeah, that's that. Thanks for watching.